We'll now ask Chief Bentley to come forward and give us an update on the Hoover Fire Department accreditation update, please.
So thank you, Mr. President, Council, and Mayor. Certainly appreciate this opportunity to speak to you tonight and give you a quick update on the accreditation process. I was specifically told by Chief Durzis that this shouldn't take more than about 2 minutes, but unfortunately it's going to take a little bit longer. So anyway, this is a great opportunity for us to bring you up to date on where we are with the accreditation process. And we certainly appreciate the Council's support, the Mayor's support, and Alan Rice's support as we've worked through this process over the past 2 years. Alan's been inspirational in this to keep us motivated and to help us as we've had questions, and we certainly appreciate that. Before I start, I wanted to recognize a couple people in the audience just so you would kind of see put a face with a name. Chief Etheridge has been our accreditation manager for the past 2 years as we've started this process, and I would say that he's done a phenomenal job. He has really worked hard. This is not only his only job, he has other responsibilities as well. And he has just taken this process and embraced it. He believes in it, and he has done a phenomenal job coordinating it. Typically in a department our size, you would see a person designated as the accreditation manager, and that would be their sole function, but that's not the case with our department. So he's leaned on a variety of people throughout our department, and a lot of people have had input into this process. Also, Brian Reed is in the back. Brian is an engineer driver for us on Engine 10 in the Ross Bridge community. And I would say that Brian has a very unique skill set. This is his wheelhouse. He loves data collection and how we present it. He has been instrumental in this process, and Brian, we certainly appreciate all that you've done for us in putting this together. Brian also put together a couple years ago a dashboard for us that we see daily statistics, and it's really helped us in planning and moving forward. Also in the back, Captain Lawson, Captain Williamson, Captain Sulcer, they've been instrumental. Just about every district captain in our department has had some input and some work to do as we've worked through this, and they've all done a great job with that. Chief Prater and Chief Thornton are not here tonight. Chief Thornton has really stepped up and has been a heavy hitter for us in this, and a lot of things get put on him, and he always comes through. He's done an excellent job with that, and I want to acknowledge him. I also want to acknowledge Chief Prater in the fact that he is the next accreditation officer. He will take the reins after Chief Etheridge is complete, and he will work us through the next 5 years. And he has been through all the certification classes and everything that he's needed to do in order to assume that role. So we're very proud of that, and I just wanted to say on behalf of the Hoover Fire Department, thank you guys for all that you do for us. I wanted just to quickly do a timeline for you. I was talking to Mike Shaw earlier, just a few minutes ago, and he said it seems like it's been a long time since we visited this, and we've been working on this thing for a little over 2 years. And I'll be honest, when we first started, Chief Etheridge and Brian and I attended a conference or 2 conferences, and once we returned, we were a little bit more confused than when we got there. The hardest part for us, I believe, was to try to get started, and we didn't know how to do that initially, so we utilized a program that Council and the Mayor's Office funded for us to help us, called the Technical Assistance Program, through the Center for Public Safety Excellence, and that's our accrediting agency. And they've been instrumental in helping us with the strategic plan and the community risk standards of cover. So in April of 2019, we began our strategic plan, and we completed it sometime in the middle or end of November of 19. We also, during the month of November, we started our community risk standards of cover, and we completed it at the end of April in 2020. During that month, we began our self-assessment, or the FESM, the Fire and Emergency Services Self-Assessment Manual, and that took us through last month when we completed that. So the last step of this journey for us is a peer review before we present to the commission. Chief Etheridge has been in contact with the members who will be the peer review team who will come out and visit. We're not exactly sure how that will go. Some of it may be virtual, some of it may be in person, combination thereof. But we do know that when we present to the commission in in December or November, December, that it will be all virtual. Typically, we would go in person and present. But this year, everything is virtual. So between now and the end of October, a peer team assessment group will come in and evaluate and validate what we've done and make their recommendations to the commission. I just want to quickly talk about our strategic plan. And what we really like about our strategic planning process is this process is developed from the community. It has community input in what we do. We know what we're doing most days, and I think we do a good job, but we want to have input, and we want everything that we do to be driven by data and from the community. So in 2019, we had a community stakeholders meeting where we were able to select 40 diverse individuals from across our city, and some of you in this room were part of that process. And we were able to identify some needs and expectations that the community stakeholders had for the fire department. Then after that meeting in November, we had an agency stakeholders meeting with our own personnel to bring that information and compile it together for a 5-year strategic plan. I would say that this is our first ever fire department 5-year strategic plan that is community driven. And we're very proud of that in the process that we went through. Our strategic plans have 7 different community priorities, and those priorities are listed in order according to the community. We have EMS calls every hour of the day, and so I think this is something that the citizens see us doing a lot, and I don't know if any of these are more important than the other, but this is how the community listed in their priority. Emergency medical services, fire suppression, technical rescue, and that deals with anything from vehicle extrication to swift water rescue, surface water rescue, all of those different disciplines that deals with that. Hazardous materials mitigation, community risk reduction, fire investigations, and fire and life safety education. And those are listed specifically from the community. From all this information, we compiled our strategic initiatives, and we identified 6 strategic initiatives that we would accomplish over the next 5 years. And I would say that we're 1 year into that process, and a lot of these things we have addressed, not all of them, but we have addressed many of the issues that we've been facing with these 6 strategic initiatives. One of the things we've addressed is some of the issues with staffing, with our new staffing model that we put in place in March. I feel that training is one of, if not the most important thing that we do. I think investing in our people, investing in how we do things in our culture is very important, and I think we need to continue to improve training. Chief Hines and Captain Reynolds do a phenomenal job. They, day in and day out, they do a fantastic job. We want to continue that process and continue to make that better. I am committed, City Council, the Mayor's Office, are all committed to the health and wellness of our firefighters. We believe that this is a strenuous job, and not only do they need to be physically fit, but they've got to be emotionally fit, spiritually fit, and ready to do the job. And so we're committed to that. We want to utilize the latest in technology to help us in mitigating these emergencies. And we want to have good succession planning. We want to have the people trained with the right education, and we want to have them in place and ready to assume those roles as we need them. And we want to recruit and retain a diverse workforce that fits the needs of our community. And so these are the strategic initiatives that we'll address over the next 4 years now. I want to talk a little bit about the community risk assessment standards of cover. I'm extremely pleased with this document and the fact that we have looked at every potential emergency that we may have in our community, and we have assigned it a risk. In the past, even though we know what we're doing, a lot of times you may ask fire service leaders across the nation, why do you do something a certain way? And a typical answer might be, well, we do it that way because that's the way we've always done it. And with this community risk assessment standards of cover, I think you'll see that we have some methodology to why we do what we do. The slide on the left gives you the risk classification, and we've broken those risks down into fire, EMS, technical rescue, and hazmat. That's the gray boxes to the left. We've assigned those a threat according to the probability, the consequence, and the impact. So if we look at the probability score, a probability score that occurs rarely or once a year gets a 2. A consequence score, if you see how that's graded, if it impacts an individual or a business, it gets a 2. And then the impact score, how it affects the department and the resources and personnel needed to handle that emergency, is scored appropriately. And we use a 3-axis model to assign risk to that. I'll give you, for instance, if you look at the left-hand side of the gray box, it says fire, a dumpster fire. How many people and resources would we need to handle a dumpster fire? Pretty simple and straightforward. We would need 3. Somebody who's in charge, somebody who can run the pump, and somebody extinguish the fire. Pretty simple. Similar to a basic life support medical call. We need someone to offer patient care, someone to document it, and someone to be in charge. And so we have broken these positions out according to that. I'd like to go to the next slide and look at critical tasking. This goes hand in hand with how we assign the number of people. I don't know why it won't stay. But critical tasking, you know why it won't stay, Wendy? Okay. In the past, we've said, well, why does Hoover send 16 or 18 people to a structure fire and XYZ fire department send 6, or this other department send 26? In the past, we might say, well, it's just kind of the way we've always done it. But with critical tasking, if you see it in your manual, we've identified specific jobs for every person to do. And in those jobs, in order to effectively mitigate the incident, those are the number of people we need on the first alarm assignment to be able to mitigate those problems. So we're really proud of that particular portion of it because we have some scientific information of why we do what we do. The next page is just kind of a breakdown to show you geographical planning locations. Everything that we do with these documents, we do those in a planning zone, and that deals specifically with the particular territories of a specific engine company or station. Once we completed the standards of cover assessment, we moved into the FESM, or the Fire and Emergency Services Self-Assessment Manual. That's the manual that I just gave the mayor. It was just completed last week. And that self-assessment manual is the third component to the accreditation process. It has 10 categories, 45 criteria, 252 performance indicators, and 86 core competencies. The FESM deals with everything that affects the fire department. It has a finance component, it has an HR component, it has all of our deliverables and services that we offer. It looks at everything the city's doing budget-wise, so on and so forth, and that's what's in the FESM. And that document is there. We have to back that up with standard operating procedures, policies and procedures, and we have to back that up with any kind of documentation that City Hall might have to reinforce our policies and what we do. So that was completed. And so, as I said before, the only thing left to do now is have the peer assessment team come in and look at what we've done to evaluate it. I do want to make a correlation to ISO and accreditation, just quickly. So we are an ISO Class 1, and that is the best rating that a fire department can have. But ISO grades our department on one thing and one thing only, and that is structural fire suppression. They look at nothing else that we do. I'm not saying that ISO is not important, because it is vitally important, and we'll continue to maintain our ISO 1. We save the taxpayers of Hoover millions of dollars each year by reduced insurance premiums as a result of a Class 1 fire department. And we recognize that, and we will continue that. But we're graded annually on about 30 to 35 structure fires a year. Now, ISO looks at training as it relates to structure fires. They look at equipment as it's related to structure fires. So everything they do is geared towards structure fires. The thing we like about the accreditation model is it looks at everything that we do. And it gives us a constant improvement model for years down the road. And it kind of stays on a cycle with ISO. We'll have an ISO visit sometime in the spring of next year, and we're prepared. But I just kind of wanted to bring that to you to show you the importance of both. And we're excited about this accreditation. We look forward to bringing this back to you in December or so. All right. That's my presentation. I'll entertain any kind of questions or comments you might have.
Chief, thank you for visiting with us. This is always a highlight when you come and share this with us. This presentation is outstanding. The electronic presentation, the binders. Did you produce this in-house?
No. We produced, the FESM was produced in-house. Brian Reed and people with the technical assistance program put that together.
Well, it's fantastic. The presentation itself, you said we did in-house?
We did. Mm-hmm.
You do it?
I did a portion of it, and Brian did a portion of it.
You got skills I didn't know you had, sir. Brian?
Fantastic.
Yeah, very good. Any questions or comments from the
Mr.
members?
President, if I could just clarify, when I was talking earlier about the time it took to do this, it was not what took you so long. It was, it's clear you all put a lot of work into this, and I agree with Councilor Lyda. This is really well done, and it's a lot of pictures and a language that even I can understand. That's very, very nicely done, so thank you.
Yeah. Brian Reed was instrumental in the standards of cover document. The strategic plan, a lot of that came from the technical assistance program.
It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. President, if I can, I like numbers, y'all know that. I'm looking at the standards of cover and looking at the EMS numbers, and wow, you've got some gigantic EMS numbers in here. And then at the bottom, the reliability, to see that high EMS number and then to see those really, really high reliability factors is just so impressive, because y'all are, like you said, you're going to EMS calls all the time, and they just way overwhelm everything else and that you're covering in your incidents.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We now have a special recognition for our city clerk, Wendy Dickerson. The Alabama Association of Municipal Clerks and Administrators get together once a year for their annual conference. And come on up, Wendy. Yeah, please. Mayor, if you'd join her, please. The Alabama Association of Municipal Clerks and Administrators get together once a year, and about 3 months ago, we learned that Ms. Dickerson had been nominated as a finalist for the City Clerk of the Year. Now, you may think, well, that's not a big deal, but I made a note to make sure I get it right, 545 cities in Alabama. So she had an awful lot of competition for that. And I had the opportunity to write a letter of recommendation, which was the easy part. But it was Ms. Dickerson's qualifications, her years of service, her dedication to her craft and her profession that earned her the award. And on Thursday night at their annual conference, they announced that Wendy Dickerson was the winner of the 2021 Municipal Clerk of the Year. So would you give her a round of applause? She is joined tonight with by her husband, Brett, and her son, Luke. Brett and Luke, would you join us up here, please? And Mayor, we've got a plaque that she received Thursday, but we're going to present it again. Yeah, I'll come down and we'll get a picture.
Come on over. Are we centered up? I'm not used to doing this part.
As I believe everyone is aware, we did not have a work session on Thursday night. Historically, the July 4th week meeting is one of the lightest of the year in terms of agenda. So in keeping with that, we did not have a work session. Therefore, we'll take a little bit more time on each item to hear from the department head responsible for the item and to ensure the council and public has any questions answered before the body votes. We'll begin with item number 6, an approval of minutes.
Mr. President, I move for approval of the minutes without reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of minutes from the June 21st, 2021 meeting. Any questions from the members? Any questions from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Item number 7 is resolution number 648621, and we're privileged to have Ms. Danielson with us tonight. So Ms. Danielson, turn it over to you.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes Birmingham Water Works to install fire hydrants at the 6 locations listed in the resolution.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of resolution number 6486-21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Chief Bentley, anything special about these hydrants? Very good. Any questions from the members? Any questions from the public? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number 8, resolution number 648721, Ms. Danielson.
This resolution amends the budget for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2021, as shown in Exhibit A.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6487-21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Bolt?
Yes, this is the first item is just a rehire of a retired employee in building inspections, and Mr. Rice will speak to that. Item number 2 is the bid for the fire station roof replacement came in a little bit high, so we are moving funds from one project to another and from one fund to another. So that's just a wash between funds. Item number 3 is additional operating expenses for Aldridge Gardens. Mr. Rice will speak to that, but just a quick explanation is when we went through COVID, if we remember, they kept the park open, but no revenue was coming in, so they needed some additional funds for that. Item 4 is to upgrade a park maintenance supervisor from a grade 8 to a grade 10, and I believe Mr. Rice is going to speak to that. So basically, we are just moving funds around and then an additional, and we are using the general fund seller's use tax to balance that.
Mr. Rice?
Thank you, members of council. As Ms. Bolt noted, there are a couple things on here we wanted to spend a little time with. The first is item 1. We borrowed a concept that Chief Durzis has used in the police department for many years effectively, and that is to rehire some of our retirees and allow them to work up to the maximum cap that they can under the retirement system. Retains some of our expertise, and it fills in some needed holes in our operation. This would be to allow us to rehire the soon-to-be retired administrative services manager in the building inspections department. And this has kind of a dual purpose. One is for continuity of operations, to allow her to train people who are moving up and moving in, new employees that will be moving into that department. And she'll also stay around probably 2 to 3 days a week and help take some of the workload in a different role than she's in now, but she'll assist and prevent us from having to do some full-time adds to staff in that department right now. In terms of the Aldridge operating expenses, Ms. Bolt was exactly right. We made the discretionary decision as a city during COVID to keep Aldridge Gardens open, the public gardens, to give people a safe outdoor recreational space that they could go visit. That did, of course, cost some overhead, cost security and cleaning and maintaining restrooms and additional supplies and things like that. So we had overhead that we incurred. But unfortunately, because of the nature of that event venue, they did not have any weddings or any corporate events or any type of public gathering for many months there. So their revenue took a substantial hit. We think it was worth it, but in order to get them to the end of the budget, we don't think all this will necessarily be required, but just to make sure that we can cover them for the remainder of this fiscal year, we're asking for an additional $55,000 in operating funds. Their salary and benefits budget's very stable, but we need to be sure that they can operate now that things are ramping back up and we're starting to see events there again. And then item number 4, I want to spend a minute on, and we won't take too long, But we have two realities in our society right now. One is that, and we've all heard about this, but our mental health system is broken in America and in the state of Alabama. And the long and short of that is that it visits responsibilities on our first responders, our police and fire department, and our jail and our communications function that are not necessarily within their job description, but they are the front line who have to go out and deal with mental health crises that typically would have been handled within an organized mental health system. But because of defunding and change in philosophy in that discipline for the last 3 or 4 decades, we don't have the mental health system we used to have in America or in the state of Alabama. So we also have a sad reality, and that is that episodes of suicide, PTSD, and people leaving the first response profession are at an all-time high. So we have a societal issue, and then we have an issue inside our public safety function in the United States. We are proposing, with your permission, to take a vacant position that's in park maintenance with Director Moss's support and upgrade that by 2 pay grades and create a behavioral health coordinator position for the city. And ideally, this is an individual that will have a public safety background and also a mental health background. And briefly, there are probably 3 pillars to what those responsibilities would be. One would be to train and provide direct support to all of our public safety departments as they are tasked with addressing mental health crises in the form of substance abuse, homelessness, domestic violence, all the different ways that mental health issues manifest themselves in our city. And so there would be a very robust training function and also a response function where they could actually come out into the field and assist when necessary. The second would be to coordinate and be a liaison with a number of different programs we have in place now. We started, the police department leaned forward and started a veterans response program. That was to answer some issues surrounding the unfortunate loss of a young man in Hoover who was a Marine Corps veteran, took his own life. Many of you are familiar with that. And when we sat down with the family and we examined that situation and what lessons we could all learn from that, the police department rolled up their sleeves, they did research, and they put together a program where police officers who are military veterans have volunteered, and they now can come to the scene and assist with any incident involving a veteran. And they can speak veteran to veteran. They can help get them on a veterans court docket in Jefferson or Shelby County as necessary and point them in the direction of resources, not only at the Veterans Administration, but in other agencies. We're in the process of building Hoover as One, which is our response to some issues surrounding homelessness that we've seen in our city within the last 9 to 12 months. So there are many initiatives that are taking place, but we also have the mental health function inside Hoover City Schools. We have a number of different efforts that we need someone to be that hub to liaison and coordinate with those agencies and with our own city departments. And the third pillar would be, and this is critically important, it would be to provide individual support to our first responders. On a confidential basis, much like our employee assistance program works now. But there is a niche there, there is a need, and there is a reality that first responders typically interact better with other first responders. When we can get somebody to seek help when they need help, they want help from somebody who's walked in their shoes or has done similar work and understands the work that they do. And so with the right person and the right qualifications, we think we can meet all 3 of those pillars. We'll be excited to fill this position and introduce this individual and let you understand completely their background and what they'll do for our city and our employees. We see this as a tremendous investment, not only in our citizens, but in our own first responders. We've spoken to all the public safety department heads, Chief Durzis, Chief Bentley, and Director Moore, and they're all on board with this. And they feel like their people will benefit from it, not only in their job task through the training and the support, but in their personal lives too, when necessary. And we also see a potential direct and indirect cost savings. This is a little bit of an investment. We're upgrading an existing position that's already on the payroll by just a little bit. But we think we can generate some direct cost savings through our savings in our employee assistance program, money that we would otherwise spend with an outside provider. And, you know, it's clear that the more that we can keep people healthy and well and on the job and functioning, it saves the city money. It's the right thing to do for that individual, but it also is a smart economic move for the city. So with that, I appreciate the time, and I would be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Mr. Rice? on this item or any item? Mr. Rice, you and I have had the opportunity to talk about this position on 2 or 3 occasions now, and I would venture a guess this is probably the first of its kind in Metro Birmingham.
Yes, sir. We're not aware of any other department that's doing anything or any other city that's doing anything of this nature. We feel like we're in a very fortunate position to move forward with this. And I definitely want to express our thanks to the mayor and to you as council president for supporting this concept and helping us walk through it and talk about how we could achieve it at a low dollar cost, but still get the job done and get the right person in there.
Well, it's certainly a good step forward, and like you said, addressing the mental health crisis that exists in our country, but obviously we have issues here to address, and for our employees, this is in my opinion, a tremendous investment, and I hope my colleagues feel the same. Any other questions from the members on this? Thank you, Mr. Rice. Any questions or comments from members of the public? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Item number 9 is Resolution 648521. Ms. Danielson.
I believe this is the one that was withdrawn.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. It's my understanding that a faith-based group has stepped up and remedied the 2212 McGuire Drive item, so we'll take a motion to withdraw.
Mr. President, I move to withdraw resolution number 6485-21.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for withdrawal. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Item number 10 is Resolution 648821. Ms. Danielson.
This resolution authorizes the mayor to enter into an agreement with AlDOT for the Alabama Highway 150 sidewalk project.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6488-21.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval. Mr. Reeves, come on down and catch us up on this project that I believe we approved a couple of years ago now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, council. This is just the standard right-of-way utility and construction agreement with AlDOT for the construction of the sidewalk project on 150. It is an 80-20 split, and the funds are budgeted for this agreement. Project is currently still in the design review process. We're looking to have the project out to bid. It's scheduled on the AlDOT letting schedule for fall of 2022, and we're looking to be under construction first part of the winter of 2023.
Any questions for Mr. Reeves? Any questions or comments from members of the public? We have a motion and a second for approval. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Item number 11 is Resolution number 6480-21. Ms. Danielson.
This resolution accepts a bid for re-roofing of Fire Station number 2 and 4 under bid number 21-005, and it authorizes the mayor to enter into agreements for these 2 projects.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6480-21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Aldaca?
Yes, Councilman.
Anything special about this? I know this was on our agenda a couple of meetings ago, and it got continued. Anything new we need to know about this item?
No, sir. We're recommending that Fire Station 2 roofing project replacement to be awarded to the Standard Roofing in the amount of $183,000. We're recommending that Fire Station 4 roofing replacement be awarded to Tecta America in the amount of $120,55.
Any questions for Mr. Aldaca? Mr. Aldaca, when it comes to Fire Station 2, will anything be changed in the pitch of that roof, or can there anything be changed? I know the original design lends itself to issues, but will this project help remedy any of that?
Not the pitch, but I think they are looking at different materials.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? Any questions from the public? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Move to item number 12, resolution number 648921. Ms. Danielson.
This resolution determines that certain property listed in Exhibit 1 to the resolution is not actually needed for public or municipal purposes and directs the disposal of such property by auction.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6489-21.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Moore, did I see you here? Glad to have you here. We miss you. Come on down and tell us what we're looking to sell, please, sir.
Mr. President, Council, Dustin Moore, Fleet Management. I've got just a small list of stuff. It's not real big, but we've got some surplus items that were, some of it was seizure. We've got a Porsche that was seized, and we've got a total vehicle through risk management that we can't use anything out of. So we're gonna get it declared surplus to be sold as parts only. And it's a total vehicle. We got 5 motorcycles that are no longer really usable for us in our police department. And I'm looking to get those declared surplus or sell to a local municipality.
Any questions for Mr. Moore? Before any members have any ideas about that Porsche, I looked at it last time I was down there and you don't want it. Isn't that right, Mr. Moore?
That's correct.
Yeah. Any questions from the public? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
Item number 13, Resolution 6490-21. Ms. Danielson.
This resolution amends resolution number 6475-21 and 6454-21 to add additional cities in the formation of the Cahaba Solid Waste Disposal Authority.
Mr. President, I move for approval of resolution number 6490-21.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Rice.
Yes, sir. This is an amendment you'll see on a routine basis going forward as more cities petition. Unfortunately, under statute, it's necessary for each of the original members to go back and vote in. Not only does the authority's board have to accept the application, but then we need to go to each city and have each city move to add those cities to the corporation. So Clanton and Homewood petitioned us for membership at our first meeting a couple weeks ago. They were unanimously accepted by the board, and they're ready to get involved. So we ask for your approval on that move.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Rice? Any questions from the public? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you, sir. Item number 14, ordinance number 21-2535, a second reading for an annexation. Ms. Danielson.
This ordinance annexes the property located at 2560 Wood Meadow Lane into the city.
Mr. President, I move for adoption of ordinance number 21-2535.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Dickerson? Anything special about this annexation? I know this is the second time we've seen it on here.
That's correct. This is the second reading for that, and the Rocky Ridge Fire District wrote a letter stating that it's not located in their fire district and they are not assessed any fire dues.
Very good. Any questions or comments from members of the body? Any questions or comments from members of the public? We have a motion and second for adoption of the ordinance. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Mr. Sweeney?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Mr. McClinton?
Aye.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye. 6 ayes, 0 nays. The motion carries and the ordinance is adopted. Item number 15 is ordinance number 21-2534, another second reading. Ms. Danielson. Ms. Danielson.
This ordinance authorizes the mayor to enter into a franchise agreement with Telepac Networks, Inc.
Mr. President, I move for adoption of ordinance number 21-2534.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Cope.
Mr. President, Council. This is a franchise agreement that allows Telepac or C-Spire to build out fiber to the home and businesses, allowing gig service or gig plus service, Greg, is that correct? With data and voice options. So it'll allow for competition inside of our community and additional services. And if y'all have any questions, Greg's here with Telepac as well too that he can answer.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Cope?
Mr. President, I would just say this is going to be a big deal. I mean, I know the city and the applicant have been working very hard on it, but this is going to, before it's all done with, this is going to provide a lot of services or a lot of potential services. People are always clamoring for faster internet in places we don't have it, and this is going to lead to that. Hopefully, I'm very excited to see C Spire coming to Hoover. It's a big deal.
Exactly.
Very good. Any other questions? Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Posey?
Aye.
Mr. Sweeney?
Aye.
Mr. Shaw?
Aye.
Dr. Middlebrooks?
Aye.
Mr. McClinton?
Aye.
Mr. Lyda?
Aye, that's 6 ayes, 0 nays. The motion carries and ordinance is adopted. We'll now move to the first reading of item number 16, resolution number 648421. Ms. Danielson.
This is a resolution for the abatement of a nuisance due to weeds and/or grass at 312 Shades Crest Road, 425 Shades Avenue, 1139 Camelot Circle, and 2039 Arnold Road.
Thank you, ma'am. Again, this is a first reading for an abatement, so these homeowners will have a couple of weeks to get their affairs in order and get the weed eater out, and maybe we won't hear from these again. That brings us to the end of the agenda. We'll now ask the members of the body if they have any questions or general comments. Hearing none, any member of the public have any comments? Yes, sir. Come on down. If you would, sir, please give us your name and address. Be happy to hear from you.
Daniels. I live at 121 Pine Rock Lane, and I would like to thank y'all for hearing my grievance / plea for help this evening.
Yes, sir.
About 2.5 years ago, in this very room, a new business proposed to come into town right behind us on Pine Rock Lane, Pet Suites Resorts. Y'all may be familiar with that. During that lot that they built on had to have several rezoning issues. In the process, they made a number of promises to us, the members of Pine Rock Lane, of which they have only upheld about half. They've been open now for about 3 months. I've been over there numerous times, enough times that I'm on a first-name basis with all the managers, trying to resolve this peacefully. Some of the agreements that they made was that there was going to be no construction prior to 8 a.m. in the morning. We were routinely woken up by a hydraulic hammer, basically as soon as the sun came up. Nothing was ever done about that. Obviously, it's constructed, and there's very little that can be done about that now. The issues that are still going on, we were told that trash pickup would be limited to 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Trash pickup is routinely between 4:30 to 5 o'clock in the morning every Monday. We were also told that the lights, with the exception of downward-facing security lights that were attached to the building, would be off by 10 p.m. at night. The lights they have are on a controlled by solar, and they have no method of turning them off at night. It's bright enough, I've had to buy blackout curtains for my bedroom. And that's really kind of where this comes from. I'd like to be able to sleep in my own bedroom. I think that's a reasonable request. Like I said, they made 6 different agreements, and so far, there's 3 of them that are in violation. I'm trying to resolve this peacefully with them. I've been over and spoke to them numerous times, and I've gotten nothing but excuse after excuse after excuse. So I'm reaching out to y'all since the agreement was also, the promises were made to y'all as well. Can you help us?
Mr. Rice, would you be willing to look back at the zoning agreement and verify those conditions and touch base with the gentleman? And
If we can get your contact information.
Yes, please.
We'll look back at the conditional use, and then we'll go out and inspect and see what's really going on and make sure that those match.
Very good. Sir, is that fair enough?
Absolutely.
Very
Thank you.
good. We appreciate you being here. Any other questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, thank you for your attendance. We're adjourned.